Today on Community Watch, we're going to talk about Shakespeare coming to Rome. It has happened at last. Stay tuned. We're going to have some great guests today, and get your Shakespeare out. We'll be right back after this.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome to Community Watch. I am solo today. Greg has got a commitment and couldn't make it, but he'll be back with us next week. And he will really miss having not been here for today's show. We're going to be talking about a Shakespeare invasion of Rome, and a exciting production that's being planned for not too distant in the future, an outdoor production and some other things going on, and it's I think it's going to transform theater in Rome, and so I'm hoping it's not a one-time only thing. It's becomes part of one of the great traditions of the area. So we'll have some guests joining us who are putting that production on and have already started in that process, and we'll find out all about it. So stay with us, do not go away. We'll be right back with our guests after this.
I'm transferring to the University of West Georgia.
Columbia University.
Kennesaw State.
UGA. Loyola University in Chicago.
Grambling State.
Shorter University. I'm going to Greensboro College, and we all got our start at Georgia Highlands.
No matter where your educational journey takes you, you can get your start at Georgia Highlands College. Georgia Highlands College. Enroll, engage, excel.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we are very pleased to have with us today Gail Deschamps and Emily Earp and Elliot Rutledge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail, I have to start by asking, and we're going to get into the particulars of what exactly you have planned and how it's developing and dates and times, things like that. But I want to ask you first, what made you decide to bring Shakespeare to Rome in this way? Why did you decide to do this?
Well, I was walking, I wanted to see the town green. I had not seen it. They were planting plants, and I really hadn't been too interested until I saw them putting in all the greenery. So I went over there one day, and they were still planting trees, and it was beautiful, really beautiful. And this big open space, and then I took a walk on the bridge across to West 3rd, right. And walking back, I looked at that space and I said, oh my gosh, it's perfect for Shakespeare, perfect. And it was kind of like an epiphany. And so it's crazy because I'd never thought about anything like that here. I took it to Lisa Smith over at the Visitors Convention Bureau, and she thought it was a great idea. And then it went from there. And it was crazy because it was almost an epiphany of seeing that space and going how perfect it is to do the Shakespeare plays.
Now you have done outdoor Shakespeare
Yeah.
previously.
I had the same feeling.
And I'm trying to remember where you did. Is it-
Villa Vizcaya in Miami. And I had the same feeling. I went over to the villa just as a tourist, walked up on the mound. There's a whole bunch of stone steps and this wonderful circular place. It's surrounded by oak trees and it's intimate like the green is.
Mhm.
And I thought I had the same feeling. And I took the idea to Carl Weinhardt, who at the time was he was the manager of the museum, of the villa. And he liked it, and then we both went to see Bill Bird, who was head of Parks and Recreation. And Bill Bird listened to us, and then he said, he had one question. He says, "What do you need?" That's exactly what he said.
That's a great question.
It was. And you know, it's crazy as that sounds. Jamie McCord was the same type of person because Lisa had told me, she said, you know, if the county manager doesn't like this idea, it's not going to fly. And I tried to call him for, I don't know, 3 weeks straight, and he didn't answer my call. And I was in Florida on a trip, and my cell phone rang, and it was him. And I told him about the idea, and he said, "Oh my gosh, this is a wonderful idea for downtown Rome. It's good for tourism. It'll be very good for the merchants, and we need more arts downtown." That was his exact statement. So it was born.
Well, that's great. And I got to tell you, I'm not terribly surprised because Rome is really a great arts town. I was reminded just this past weekend with the film festival, and for a town of its size, it's really pretty remarkable how much happens. But so there'll be a production of Shakespeare outside on the town green, and this is going to be
May 30th through June 5th. 2016.
This okay, so
this coming year.
all right, so y'all are going to have, first of all, you're going to have to come back when we get closer to time, if you can spare any time for us.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great late spring, early summer experience.
It is, but and maybe Emily and Elliot can talk about this. We are mounting the play early because we're going to do performances for students in November this year.
Soon.
Yeah, we're kind of scared. It's 6 weeks away. I mean, we're like, ooh, it's coming up on. But yes, and we're taking it also to Gordon County, and we're all these are all student performances there, and also to Chattooga County.
Wow.
I know, it's really exciting, and we have a cast of 32 people.
Well, Emily and Elliot, tell me a little bit about your theater backgrounds. Is this are y'all old hands at this by now, or is it relatively new to you, or what's your history?
Mine's a little out there. I went to college in San Francisco. Where the first 2 years I was in college, I did extensive theater study, particularly Shakespeare. So it feels really good to get back into it. And I moved back to Rome. I'm from this area, but I moved back about 2 years ago. And when I heard about this and the fact that this is something that's getting a lot of buzz, it felt really good to just contribute to the community. And sort of, you know, I like to think of the people involved with the Shakespeare Festival as big fish in a small pond in a way.
Right.
And I hope that it just becomes legendary, ultimately. And I think the most important thing is to get community support above all. So What about you, Emily?
I had studied theater at Berry College. I got a minor in theater. And after graduation, I decided to stay here in Rome, and that's when I got involved with the Rome Little Theater, the De Soto. And I've done a couple shows over there, and when I heard about the Rome Shakespeare Festival, one, I wanted the opportunity to work with Gail because she has such a beautiful name around Rome for a director, and have the opportunity to work with her. And when I was in high school, I had a theater professor, Mr. Edward Devers, and I felt like he almost transcended William Shakespeare, and he spoke him, and he really just kind of watched out for me in high school, and unfortunately he passed away a couple of years ago, so this is kind of a tribute to him as well. I know that when I get doubtful, or when it's hard, or when I'm unsure, I have him whispering little helpful hints along the way, and so it's good. Yeah, it's really good.
So does the prospect of doing Shakespeare outside, right off of Broad Street, seem intimidating at all?
Seems exhilarating.
Yeah.
I think. I love the idea of it. I tell everybody about it. I don't know. I've never done outdoor theater before, so this is new to me, and I just get such a good feeling from it.
Yeah.
It's magical. I mean, there were nights when I used to go down to Vizcaya, and a skylark there'd be a love scene going on stage, and a skylark would fly right through the scene, you know. And then the picnickers would all be there, and sometimes you had to keep the raccoons at bay because all this food was being consumed. One of the things that we're doing that's different than we did in Miami, which I think is much more elegant, is we are going to have 223 people are going to be able to sit at tables, all dressed with tablecloths and very elegant.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to imagine the arrangement.
Well, there'll be high toppers on the where the forum is, that upper area of the forum.
Right.
There will be, I think, 6 up there, and then there'll be tables for 10, tables for 8, 6, 4, and even tables for 2, which will be expensive.
How nice.
There will be. You'll have to pay for that. But they will be. The audience will be able to buy picnics on Broad Street. We'll have we already have one picnic partner in place,
Great.
which is Harvest Moon, and they will prepare a menu, and then you'll be able to pick up the phone and say, well, I'd like this menu. I'll pick it up for Friday's or Thursday's performance or Saturday's performance, and then they'll be able to go over. We're gonna we've got permission for an open bar, wine and beer, Shakespeare wine and beer bar.
Well, that seems totally appropriate to me.
I think it is absolutely appropriate. Brent Poplin told me he was going to cook hamburgers and hot dogs, so the audiences will be able to come in and smell that cooking going. It's going to be crazy.
But I guess in a way that's captures kind of the spirit of
the old globe.
The old globe, you know, and the food and the activity around
exactly.
it, and so that's great. It's very exciting. So there'll be tables, but also
you'll be able to bring a blanket, a beach chair, and on the slope down to the fountain, you'll be able to sit and with your family and enjoy the show. And what I like about it, and the thing that I think most of the audiences in Vizcaya that came to Vizcaya loved, was they would come early so they could see the actors warm up. So they're going to be able to, you know, eat their dinners and picnics and watch all these actors in probably rehearsal clothes, or if it's warm, they'll be in, you know, shorts and t-shirts and stuff, and do all their physical bits and warm up, all that stuff. They also will be jazz music playing, which we're going to have as a pre-show. but the actual music for the play is all, well, I don't know what you call it, eclectic?
And
I guess it's
and original.
It's all
Yeah.
original music.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's
It's being
exciting.
written by The Strange.
Oh,
The
my.
band The Strange.
Well, I'm a fan of The Strange, so you're going to get some strange groupies out there, I'm sure.
Probably.
I'm sure.
I think what's really nice about that setup too is, I mean, the audience is going to be very involved with the actors. We have actors and fairies running through the audience, playing with them. So we're really inviting you into our magical world, and it's more of a, not so much a audience performers, but here is our world all together. And I think that has to be what was intended for a show like this, to meld the worlds together.
Well, we're coming up on our break here in a few seconds. When we come back, I want to hear some more about the play. We haven't even identified what you're doing yet.
Okay.
And then a little bit about how you're getting started now, because you're already well into, rehearsing and getting things together. So stay with us. We'll be right back with more right after this.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're having a conversation with Gail Deschamps, Emily Earp, and Elliot Rutledge about the Shakespeare production coming up in the spring on the town green in downtown Rome, outside. And what play are we doing?
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream. Okay.
Yeah.
So why did you select?
I thought that would be the most accessible play for a first. Originally, we wanted to do Romeo and Juliet. And Romeo and Juliet is also very accessible, but it has some serious fighting in it. And I wasn't quite sure whether we could get the actors, the young, and they're all young actors that play these roles, to and barring you, Elliot, because I didn't know you at the time, because Elliot is a terrific sword fighter. But basically, we wanted to try to develop a group of actors who really understood what sword fighting was. And so we just did one workshop in sword fighting, and Ron Hubbard's coming back to do 2 more. So we're hoping that we will get, a coterie of solid sword fighters who are actors who can do this show. But again, Midsummer is funny. It is. It can put you on the floor. It's so funny. And we're setting it in the North Georgia mountains. The music is, the audience is not going to accept, they're going to accept it. They're not going to expect what they're going to get musically.
Right.
Because they're going to think, well, someone asked me not too long ago, they said, well, are you doing Elizabethan music? And I said, absolutely not. We're not. Not that I don't like Elizabethan music, but we wanted to be totally accessible. And Puck, I was telling somebody the other day, I imagine when we're on the green that Puck and Oberon have these scenes, and there may be a scene where Puck comes and sits down at your table, John, picks up a cup, right, and talks to Oberon across the way on the stage, and they have this scene together, and Puck's at the table. And so I think the audiences are going to love it. I really do.
Well, you bring up accessibility, and I know that Shakespeare, and I can say this from the experience of teaching it, many students have a negative attitude about Shakespeare without having ever seen it or read it. It's impossible to understand, or none of it makes sense to me, and so I'm wondering if is that something that you're aware of, that you are anticipating, or do you feel like just the experience of seeing a play should cure the audience of any concerns of that?
I think it's the experience not of seeing the play, but of experiencing the play. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
The audience is going to get it. They are going to get every joke.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to get every laugh. I think also they're going to come not knowing what they're going to see or what they're going to expect. A lot of them are. And they are, I wouldn't tell you this if I didn't know this from experience, but I used to go to the picnics at Vizcaya, and there would be people there who had never read a Shakespeare play, had no intention of ever reading a Shakespeare play, and loving every minute of what they were seeing. And it has to do with, it's not a theatrical event, it is an event. I am sure in Shakespeare's day that it was an event because the audience talked back to the actors. I mean, and I can see that happening in what we are about to embark on. So they're going to have fun. They really are.
Yeah.
I'll be very surprised if they do not.
Yeah, and I was going to say one thing about the language, like a lot of people don't get it, but I think when you have a cast and a director who understand Shakespeare and are able to read between the lines, all that wordiness, it goes out the window, because then it sounds as eloquent as us sitting here talking right now. And I think that we're going to be able to do it in a way that maybe even a 3 or 4-year-old could understand what's going on, just by the inflections and by the subtext of what's being said rather than the words themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know not too long ago I saw a production of Twelfth Night at the Shakespeare Tavern, and it was about the funniest thing I have ever
very
seen.
funny.
And even reading it, you don't realize how funny it is. It's so it's something you really have to see performed. Emily and Elliot, are you comfortable with the idea that things might get a little rowdy, and you can't predict an audience or what's going on around you? And
We'll just react, I guess. That's the best thing we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
You know, I told the cast when we put this together, when we first got together, I said, you're going to be able to take this play and you're going to be able to do it on Broad Street. You're going to be able to do. I had somebody ask me not too long ago, well, where am I entering from? I said, anywhere you want. So we have done a lot of improvisation. I think that it's going to show. They're going to be able to take this play on the green and come to me and say, gosh, I'd like to change this entrance. Can I come in from, let's say, can I come in from under a table? I mean, they're going to have that kind of feeling about, especially the fairies. We have 14 fairies and goblins, and they're all students. And they're mischievous. They are. They're hardly going to leave the stage.
Yeah. Well, that's
so
great.
that should be interesting also to the audiences, I think.
So y'all have started at this point. You're in rehearsals already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So how long have we been at this? I know you've been talking and planning for quite a while, but the actual rehearsal, when did that begin?
Gosh, when did we start?
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months.
You're
Beginning
already
of
2
August.
months into this?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like it because I've been part of shows before where you have to get everything done in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. But I like the slow burn because we're going to be so in tune with the script by the time that we perform.
And with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was going to say earlier about the, you know, if things are going to change during a performance, are you flexible? It's not just me up there delivering my lines. If all of us, by, you know, us knowing each other well enough and knowing the script, knowing our environment, I mean, we're a unit, we're a family, and the longer that you get to rehearse it together, the more that builds. And I'm very interested to see how the performances will change from November, and then to see how things will be in June,
Right.
because you know, we'll have been in a year-long friendship at that point. So it'll be our own little troupe. It'll be exciting.
And you're rehearsing not in the town green yet.
We are rehearsing courtesy of Georgia Highlands. We love Georgia Highlands. We bow down to Georgia Highlands.
We do.
It's really wonderful to have the space,
Yeah.
because you know, it means that if we were having to rent somewhere, it means that we can take the money that we don't have to put out and spend it on other things that we need. So Georgia Highlands has been so supportive, and I can tell you, when we met with Paige McFry, I mean, she let us know immediately that, you know, that they really wanted to help, and this was sort of their mission, you know, to especially when we're doing educational work. So it was very, very a very good meeting that we had with her, and of course, we're now at the Lakeview Auditorium.
Right.
And loving it. I mean, the actors, you like it too, don't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's great.
Well, great.
I was thinking we're going to do a performance down there for students.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
It should be fun.
Now, we only have a minute or so before the next break. Is this a one-time thing? Is it going to
No.
be?
We're already planning
Okay.
2017.
You are. All right. Well, that's good to know.
Well,
that's good to know.
We're going to do 2 shows in rep. Where I know one of them will be Romeo and Juliet. At Vizcaya, we used to do 3 in rep, and the company was one company, and they rehearsed all 3 shows in repertory.
Right.
So repertory rehearsals. So I know it can be done. We will do that, and we will also expand, I think, with art. We want to include art, music, and try to include the symphony, the artists, some of the artists that are in Rome, and have exhibits. And I've already talked to the forum about possibly doing exhibits down the hallway.
So festival's a perfect.
So it'll
time
become
for
a
it.
really fleshed out festival, exactly.
Well, we're coming up on a break. When we come back, if you want to volunteer or help in this production, you have ways to do that. And I will tell you more about that when we get back. So stay with us.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Gail Deschamps, Emily Earp, and Elliot Rutledge of the Rome Shakespeare Festival. And if you would like to volunteer, they could use your help. And you could go to the website romeshakespearefestival.com or look for their Facebook page, Rome Shakespeare Festival. They could definitely use your help, and perhaps some donations too if you prefer, but this is a great thing that's being presented to Rome, part of a new tradition, we hope, and you can help make it happen. So go to the website. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time on Community Watch.